Hi everyone, this is Nadia Stupinski and I'm talking at Zenful Mama, my channel about bringing up happy people while staying happy within. Today I'm going to talk about children going through fears and nightmares. It can be pretty heartbreaking to watch your little one going through fears, or especially when it comes to nightmares and things like that, especially when you feel helpless and you don't know what to do about it. In order for us to understand how we can help, we need to understand several things. First off, we have to understand that everyone has fears. Even if someone tells you that they are not afraid of anything in life, they're lying, either to you or to themselves. So I'm going to talk about several types of fears, and the first one that I'm going to mention is a fear of the unknown. The bright side here is that most children's fears are basically based on their imagination, so there is nothing actually scary that's going on. What happens is that so much of this world is unknown to our child, and for example, you have a 2-year-old who's seeing a bee for the first time, and not just seeing somewhere on a leaf, but this bee is flying towards them and it's making this weird buzzing noise and it's coming, too close, and it can result in a child literally being scared of all insects. The bottom line here is that if you want to help your child deal with these types of fears, is try to help them understand. Like, you show them this insect, the more you look at them, the more you kind of touch it, like look at the pictures and things like that, the least scary it becomes. I'll get into additional details and a specific process at the end of this video, how to deal with fears like that, but this is the summary basically for this type of fear. The more known it is, the least scary it is. Actually, latest scientific research has shown that even plants can be scared of death. One of the studies that I've looked at showed that a plant started to exude basically defensive chemicals when a caterpillar started to munch on a leaf. So who can tell you that humans are possible, it's possible for humans to not be scared of anything if even plants are. However, what the difference is that as an adult, and hopefully mature and functional adult, it's easier to persuade yourself that walking into an elevator is not going to kill you, while persuading your child that there are no scary monsters under your bed, if there are two, is much more of a challenge. The second type of fears are the fears from within. For example, your child saw a movie with a scary monster and got really scared, so now they're scared of a monster. Or a grandma or even a parent says something like, "Don't go to the basement, there's a witch who lives there." And you'll be surprised how many people will say things like that to stop their children from, for example, going to forbidden places even these days. But the child's brain develops a chain. Basically what the child subconsciously, not necessarily in their head, but subconsciously thinks, right, is that, okay, it's dark, so there is a witch that lives there. It's something scary, I might not even know what it is or what it does, so it's really scary. So basically darkness equals fear of death. And if it gets a little bit of support from their peers or a couple of really scary interactions with darkness, when someone scares them when it's dark or something like that, it can actually end up in a lifelong phobia of darkness or something of a kind, just as an example for you. So be mindful of things that you tell your kids, even for the best reasons. The third type of fear is actually becoming more and more common in the present day and age, and it's connected with the information flow. Your child can be peacefully playing with his cars while you're watching a scary movie, or even just a really devastating piece on the news that is filled with blood, sweat, and tears, right? And your child might end up having nightmares. The only way out, obviously, just don't watch this type of stuff until your kids are in bed. The fourth type of fear is the fear for their attachment figure, so primarily for their mom. This fear is absolutely normal, however, it can be much more present in certain kids than the others. Even separation anxiety can be one of the manifestations that this fear can take. If your child was separated from you right after the labor for a while, or if your child was in an ICU unit, for example, or maybe if you weaned in a very abrupt manner rather than gently weaning, but for example left your child with a grandparent for a week or something like that, that has become a very common practice these days, that can trigger fear for their parent and fear to lose their parent. And obviously some of those things you can't avoid, especially if your child was born prematurely, for example, and has to be in an ICU unit or something like that. The only thing you can do about it is just give them as much as you possibly can, and give them as much of you and your love afterwards. And our society these days is trying to encourage independence basically from day one, or at least like starting with 3-4 months of age. Most practitioners who are focusing on attachment theory, for example, Dr. Gordon Neufeld and many others, are against that approach. And by teaching our children in that young, early stage to be independent, we're not really teaching them anything, because the areas in their brain that are responsible for being independent are not developed yet. So what we have to do is allow them to be dependent and to teach them how to be dependable this way. So if, as much as you can, just fill them with your love and with your presence, and I'm sure eventually even those fears will go away. And the last type of fears that nevertheless is not the least is parents' fears. In a way, our children are able to read so much that's going on within ourselves that it's absolutely amazing. An amazing French psychoanalyst and pediatrician, Françoise Dolto, said something like, and it's an approximate translation from French, dogs and children in a family know pretty much everything that's going on, especially things unspoken of. So what it means is the more we suppress certain fears, and when we're trying to not think about them, the more they're likely to manifest themselves in our children. So when your child gets fears, try to think about what you're scared of, what's going on in your family, how is your relationship, or maybe you have some concerns about a family member's health or potentially about your own health, things like that. Of course, the obvious way to go about this type of fear is working with your own fear and potentially finding a therapist to help you work through that. But as I mentioned previously, I'm also going to share one process that should be helpful to deal with specific fears that your child might have. So this process is primarily for children who are able to speak, so like 2.5-3 years, and especially who are able to make some drawings with you as well. You should start during the day, and the first step is to openly ask them what they're scared of, be it a witch, a scary ghost, a monster under the bed, right? So that already opens the dialogue and allows them to talk it out a little bit. And now comes the most fun part, and the best way to describe it is to draw a Harry Potter comparison, and yes, I'm a huge fan, but if you remember in one of the books or the movies there was this spell that they did that's called Ridiculous, which is supposed to make something funny. So this is exactly what we're going to do in step 2. We're going to ask our child to make a drawing of whatever it is that they're scared of. For example, a scary bee or a ghost. And we will ask them to make it funny. So maybe you're going to add rollerblades for the scary ghost, or maybe the bee will get a cute little bow and big eyelashes or something like that. Whatever will make your child laugh, and you might be able to do it yourself, like to help them out, of course. But the second that it gets on the paper, it's not within their subconscious mind anymore, it's on the surface. And by the way, this works the same way for adults too. If you're scared of something, try putting it on the paper. If you write about it, if you make a drawing of it, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to look exactly what, like what the fear is like. Obviously, most of us are not amazing artists. But that truly helps. And then when we look at it and when we're able to make it funny, when we're able to laugh at it, this is when the magic happens, because in our subconscious mind, so in our kids' subconscious mind, it's not as scary anymore. What about the case when your child isn't into drawing or doesn't know how to draw? You can come up with a funny story. For example, oh honey, you're so scared of this little ghost, right? Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, there was this little ghost who liked to crawl into people's houses at night. Why do you think that he liked to do it? And first off, let them think of an answer, but if they don't come up with one, you can say something like, because he loves to munch on cookies, or because it's so ticklish and fun to walk through the walls, or maybe something like, he likes to watch funny TV shows with us, or it's just a very sad and lonely ghost, and he was just hoping to have some friends around. That again takes the element of fear out of it and makes them focus on something else. Or just one last option is you can make some kind of artwork out of that fear that they're going through, and whatever, let's say, looks like this ghost or like a witch, and then help them destroy it in some way. That also helps as well. And just one last suggestion that I have for you, as I thought about it, is as your child is going through something like that, don't just focus on your kid. Also focus on how it makes you feel, right? So maybe your child doesn't let you comfort them and you feel abandoned in a way, or maybe you just feel extremely helpless, and when you deal with your own feelings and your own emotions, funny enough, it can help your child cope with theirs as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you end up using art therapy techniques or anything else that I've previously shared with your child who's going through fears or nightmares or things like that, please shoot me an email or post in the comment section below. If you want to receive similar videos in the future, please subscribe to this channel. There's a bell button below, or to my Instagram blog as well. Or make sure to share this video if you think it can help someone else.